Week number 4 in the National Football League featuring World of Matchups. My name is Dexter Reed, your host, coming to you live and direct from Las Vegas, Nevada. May A1 from day one on the other side of the glass and producer extraordinaire. Welcome in, Spencer the Wiz. What is up, my bro?
Well, waiting for another week to see the Raiders play. So I guess that's the top thing on my mind when it comes to the NFL this week. We'll talk about it, but there's almost nothing else I can think about leading up into Sunday. It's something that's on your mind all week when you have a performance like that.
Raiders are gross, but we'll get to them. Who's up first for the handicapping of week 4?
Yeah, let's jump over to the Texans-Jaguars game. Something worries me about this game because we've seen the Jaguars play terrible all season long, and yet now when you look at this line, it's like something really close. Yeah, -6, which I know doesn't sound close, but considering what we've seen out of the Jacksonville Jaguars, does something not seem wrong about this? I mean, they've been one of the worst teams in the NFL when you look at them. I guess they played a close game against the Dolphins, but the Dolphins don't look half as good as we thought they would. I know it's a little bit unfair, but even with Tua, like go to that Bills game when Tua went down, they were getting their doors blown off, and they hadn't done anything all season long to prove that they were really good. So then you look at the rest of the Jaguars play over the other two games. I mean, last week was about as bad as it gets, and now they play a Texans team who has a lot to prove this week. I think every team is due for a bad loss in the regular season. It's like 17 games long. This is a game where at home, the Texans, I think, get right. I don't know how Jacksonville keeps this within a touchdown unless they just magically wake up and they're a completely new team, but they seem to be consistently bad this year. I love the Texans -6 in this game.
Yeah, so do I, man. Coming off a really bad loss to the Minnesota Vikings, which is a game that I called, man. I told you guys, I smelled a classic trap game there. They're going to come home and get right off a really bad Jacksonville team. Touchdown wins you money. Look, Evan Ingram is a huge part of that team. He hurt his hamstring in warm-ups a couple weeks ago. They don't have him, and that's a huge piece that is missing. Look, if you're down 10-0 right off the bat, it's really, really hard to run the ball. At that point, they've been abandoning the run. Last week versus the Buffalo Bills is as bad as it gets. Brian Thomas Jr. is good, but he's a rookie, and he's only a long ball guy right now. They haven't really implemented him in any kind of short routes, go routes, dig routes, curls, none of that. It's either go long or go home. And Christian Kirk has not been who I thought he would be this year. Doug Peterson is a great coach. I'm not saying he's over his head, but I just can't bet on Jacksonville until he's either fired or Trevor Lawrence is gone. And they just paid Trevor Lawrence, so you know he's going to be the odd man out here. Look, we talked about this all last year. I've been saying this for a while now. Trevor Lawrence got paid off what he did when he went to Clemson. He did not get paid off anything he has done in the National Football League. To me, he's a bust. He's not good. Trevor Lawrence is long-haired Daniel Jones. He's not good, guys, and he's not getting better. Shad Khan and the general manager and front office of the Jacksonville Jaguars have done everything they can to put pieces around this guy, and nothing is happening. And so for that reason, along with the big-time blowout, I think they come home, and I think they get right here. Guys, right off the top, this is my best bet. -6, wow. I don't think is enough. This is my best bet. Houston eats here. Houston knows that if they want to be talked about in the upper echelon teams of someone who's going to go deep in the playoffs and actually have a shot at unseating Kansas City, which I think they do as they'll progress, this is not a game that they can lose, more or less like not even cover. Okay? Good teams win, great teams cover. This is the week you're going to see the great Houston Texans. They're going to destroy Jacksonville. Next.
Yeah, let's jump over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are going to Indianapolis. This is another game I actually really love. I mean, plain and simple, Anthony Richardson has not been good this season at all. This has been really bad for them. I think this is almost like a nightmare scenario, but one that, in a way, I kind of predicted. Now, he's been great for fantasy. Well, actually not in the last 2 weeks. He's been terrible. I mean, this is a guy who just throws boneheaded interceptions. I mean, last week, man, one of the worst red zone interceptions that you will ever see. And now he's playing the best defense in all of football. That is a recipe for a really bad game for them. This is only the Steelers are only -2.5. This is obviously going on my teaser card. I'll just say that right now. It could be my best bet. I may circle back and just say that I'm just going to keep riding the Steelers until these lines start making sense. They do not put these anywhere near where the Steelers have been performing so far. Now, I know they only score like 17 points a game, but they're giving up like 10. That's unreal. Like, it is crazy what they have been able to do. They can play defense anywhere. And Indianapolis is not the scariest place ever to play football either. It hasn't been for a long time at the very least that I've known. I've never been like, oh, wow, we're going to Indy. It's hard to win there. Never thought that before. The Colts got really lucky last week because Caleb Williams was terrible. I mean, awful terrible in that game. They're not going to get that kind of performance. Justin Fields, while he hasn't been amazing this year, he's kept the ball in their hands on offense. Good time of possession for them all year season long. He made, just that one good throw, really, as long as he can just get them over the top, score close to 20 points, then that's the recipe for them to win like all season long pretty much. And the Colts are not going to come out here and have an explosive offense against them. This is a really bad matchup for the Colts, and I think I love the Steelers. I really do. This is probably going to be my best bet. I'm going to go through the rest of the slate to see if anything can maybe convince me more, but I'm going to have a hard time finding a game to convince me more than this one.
I think you are, man, and I agree. Has any team done more with less this year than the Pittsburgh Steelers? And I'm happy for them. I'm happy for Justin Fields. Can you imagine Justin Fields on Chicago right now with Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, I know they don't have a line, okay? I get that. But I'm not so sure that Justin Fields was the problem in Chicago. And I'm loving what they're doing, and I hope they keep Russ on the bench. To me, Mike Tomlin is going to end up being a top 7 coach of all time. What this guy does every year with chicken shit is unbelievable. And they haven't even really gotten George Pickens going yet. Now, this is a bad matchup for the Indianapolis Colts here. It really is. Anthony Richardson has struggled mightily. Outside of the one bomb I saw him throw to Alec Pierce early this season, he's done absolutely nothing. His short game is ridiculous. And if he's not running, he's not useful. This is a bad matchup for Jonathan Taylor because the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is really tough to run on. And where's Michael Pittman? He's on a milk carton. I mean, they have been really, really bad in Indy. They have underachieved. They were my dark horse sleeper team this year, and they have not shown me anything at all. Adonai Mitchell has been an absolute ghost. I think they're running into the wrong team here. If anything, I really like the under in this game because neither one of these teams can score. But let Pittsburgh get 17 points in this game, and they're going to win it going away. -2.5, field goal wins you money here, guys. I'm telling you, the better coach is the Steelers. The better quarterback right now is the Steelers. The better defense right now is the Steelers. I know it's a road game. I know it's hard to envision a world in 2024 where the Steelers are 4-0, but guys, this is what's about to happen. We might as well just get used to it. Ugly wins are still wins in the NFL. And that's what you're going to see here. Steelers -2.5 is the play.
Now let's jump over to the Jets and Broncos game. Good game by the Broncos last week. That is obviously undeniable.
Shocked.
But it was a very injured Buccaneers team. Like, looking back on it, they had a lot of missing guys, and at the same time, I don't want to completely discredit what they did. They played a great game, and they found a recipe for winning there. This week, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be very strong or long-lived, I guess. I mean, this is a very good defense in the Jets. They're at home. I cannot see a world where Bo Nix just starts carving them up like a Thanksgiving turkey like he did the Buccaneers. I know they'll have the confidence to do it, but the Jets are looking like the Jets that I thought they would be. And this is a game for them that if they really are who I think they are, they should dominate this one. I think this was another fairly close line. Wow, no, it's not. -7.5. So I guess the books agree with me.
8.5.
Wow. Okay.
8.5.
I'm not afraid. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm not afraid. I'm not going to let last week change my mind that much. Maybe I'll regret that because that's a big line. That's a big line for an NFL team to cover. But they are home. I don't think the Broncos are very good. I think that was kind of just right place, right circumstance, right time against the Buccaneers last week. So nothing about the Broncos excites me. I think Bo Nix just kind of had his really good game as a rookie to get everyone excited. Another 2 road games in a row. I don't like anything about it. I'm good. I'll take the 7.5. I'll win by 10 points, a touchdown, and a field goal. I could easily see that happening. Bo Nix throws a bad interception, something like that.
I could see it too, but I'm going to take the Broncos plus the 8.5. I think that's too many points when we're talking about a Jet team that, outside of the game versus the Patriots, they really haven't done anything this year to excite me at all. I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn the ball over, but Breece Hall has not looked like the Breece Hall I thought he would look like, and Garrett Wilson has not looked like the Garrett Wilson I thought he would look like. Those two players last year really benefited from having no quarterback because they just had to force funnel feed these guys all year long. This is more of a control Jet team now. Aaron Rodgers is at the helm, and I just don't see them blowing this team out. Coming off a humongous win in Tampa, the Broncos are going to be filled with confidence. They do still have Sean Payton, who is a very, very good coach. Dude, Robert Saleh is not for long. He is a defensive coordinator masquerading as a HC. I could see some weird thing happening in this game that they end up getting backdoored by the Broncos. I'm not saying the Broncos are going to win. I'm not saying they're going to keep it close either. But 8.5 points to a Jet team that really hasn't done much versus anybody except the Patriots, who are, in my mind, one of the worst teams in the entire league. I just don't see it. It smells off to me. It's not like the Jets are going out there and scoring 35 points a game. You know what I mean? They scored 20 what versus the Patriots? I mean, that's been their high. They got absolutely dismantled versus anyone else that they've really played. I'm not sold on the Jets at all. Not yet. I want to be sold on them. Not yet. They go out and they destroy this Bronco team. Now we're starting to talk about the Jet team that I thought I might see. But something tells me here, man, 8.5 points is a lot in the National Football League, man. You know what I mean? Patrick Surtain is still there. You take Garrett Wilson away. Now you have to rely on an Alan Lazard, Breece Hall led team. I'm not so sure that the Jets can cover this spread anywhere. So I'm going to take the Broncos. I'm not taking them with a lot of confidence. This is going to be more of a hunch for me on this one.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird game. It's kind of a hard game to call. Let's jump over to the Buccaneers, another home game for them, looking to bounce back against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is it's a pretty big game, I guess, all things considered. They're 2-1. Both teams are trying to compete for one of the top seeds in their conference. So I like the Eagles in this one. The line it's short. Okay, the Eagles are only -1.5. And yeah, like I said, I do not expect the Buccaneers to play nearly as bad. I think they're getting a couple guys back, so that should make a big difference. We know how good they are at home, but this is a bit of a revenge game, let's be honest, for the Eagles. This has been a team that when they have faced, it's been a meat grinder. And I still truly believe that the Eagles are a different team this year than they were last year. I think they're a much improved team. Now, one of the biggest meltdowns of the season early so far, so that's not great. But it's football. Things happen in football. It was against a really good team. They was just a drop away. We've talked a completely different conversation right now about the Eagles. Had that silly little drop had not happened. It was a terrible decision, but still. I think this game means a lot for the Eagles. I think they've gotten away from that mentality of, hey, we just need to make it to the Super Bowl. They do seem to be taking it more of like a week at a time. And I think Saquon Barkley just really puts him over the top. Besides the first week, he really hasn't had one of those like signature games, but he's made a difference just here and there, and he does everything for them. And when I think about all of those things, I think the Eagles are going to finally get the little Buccaneers bug off their back. And it's not even a thing against the Buccaneers. I just really, truly think that it's not a good spot for them. Sometimes teams and places and certain weeks, they just have their ticket that day. And I feel like that's what you're going to get out of the Eagles.
Interesting. I disagree for a lot of different reasons. Number one, A.J. Brown is on 1.5 legs. He may or may not play. I'm thinking that they don't run him out there because the Eagles have a bye next week. So why would you rush a superstar back? To me, it just doesn't make sense if they force this guy out there and he's not 100%. That's number one. Number two, Devonta Smith has been concussed. So now you're potentially out without your starting 1 and 2 wide receivers. So, I mean, no one can tell me that's not humongous. So you're really relying on Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley at that point, which I believe if you stack the box, you can take those two away. Now, you're home. coming off a really bad loss to a really bad team. And you've had this team's number. The last two times you've played them, you've beaten them, and you beat them in convincing fashion in your building. Now you're going to give me 1.5 at home. Home dogs have paid dividends in the National Football League history more than they haven't. And Baker Mayfield is not scared. Put the cherry on top of all of this, Coach Todd Bowles is saying we need more out of Mike Evans. There's nobody on that secondary that can stop Mike Evans. Move Godwin back to the slot. Look what he's been doing. He's been the number one of the top 3 wide receivers in the National Football League. I don't know. I think if the Eagles find a way to pull this out of their ass, it's only going to be by a point. Tampa's not going to lay down at home twice. And the X factor here is Bucky Irving. Any day now he's taking that job from Rachaad White. Now, he's a little gimpy, but you do have now a nice little thunder and lightning combo, especially once Rachaad White gets his act together. Even if he never does, he can catch passes out of the backfield. They can score. The Buccaneers are not bad, man. They're better than you think they are. I will take 1.5 at home, and I will pull and pray. Another one that I'm not feeling super confident about, but the Eagles are just the walking wounded. Let anything happen to Saquon Barkley in this game, and you know how dumb Nick Sirianni is. He'll gift wrap this win to Tampa, and we won't even think twice about it. That's how bad he is. That's a coach that is literally surviving off his stars. You put Nick Sirianni on the Carolina Panthers, he would have been fired already.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I guess kind of like some quarterbacks depend on having the talent around them to be good. Let's jump over to a Cardinals game. This is great. This is a really great game. This is one I have circled. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Hard to call, but fun to watch. Washington played about as good as you could possibly play. I mean, I guess looking more specifically at Jaden Daniels, one of the greatest quarterback performances ever from a statistical standpoint. They scored on every drive. I think the Bengals did too. I don't know. Is that a...
It's never happened, or it hasn't happened in God knows how long. Something like that.
Yeah.
I saw a meme about it. I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
And this makes me sad because I remember, I don't know if anyone remembers this. It was a short storyline. Cliff Kingsbury had made a deal with the Raiders to be their offensive coordinator. It was set in stone. They made it happen. And then he pulled literally at the last second. And you're seeing it. This guy is a great offensive mind. He can't be a head coach, and some guys just can't be. Sometimes, and obviously, if you have the opportunity to be a head coach in the National Football League, you're going to take it, you know? But sometimes it's just, I maybe even see that out of Arthur Smith a little bit. You try to make that leap, and being a head coach is so much more than the X's and O's. In fact, it's like almost way more about all the other things that you do as a head coach. And you're seeing him with a great offensive kind of like system where Jaden Daniels can do a little bit of everything. He made some amazing throws in that game, but you see it with his legs. They have a pretty decent squad, and it feels like he's getting the most out of them. But now they play a Cardinals team that is catching their stride a little bit. You and I like the Cardinals. So I'm going to go out and say, and this is a short line, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, well, 3.5. That's so tough. It's so easy just to take Washington here, but I feel like there's been a lot of weeks where I'm saying I just try to take the easy side. I know Washington played a darn good game, but I think the Cardinals, they really need this one, and I feel like they can compete at a high level. And if they have that kind of mentality going into it at home against Washington, this is a game they should be able to win by a good amount of points. This feels like the books are saying, hey, take Washington. You saw them last week. You're getting a field goal. It almost feels too obvious, and the books somehow find a way. I can see a 4-point win from the Cardinals. From whatever weird math it takes to get there, it just feels like one of those where it's going to be a half point. And I think they're going to be right on the money here. I think the Cardinals find a way to cover this spread at home and win the game.
Boy, you and I are so different this week.
One of us is going to have a good week.
I was 9-6 last week. You were 6-9. I think you're trying to come for me this week. There's a new sheriff in town, folks. Okay, and his name is Jaden Daniels. You saw it early on in the season with his legs. Monday night for the whole world to see, you saw it with his arm. The kid was throwing absolute darts. I mean, these were dots. These are on-the-money passes. Things that I was so concerned about for him coming into the NFL. He's already erased those worries for me from just like 3 or 4 throws that I've seen that guys who have been in this league for 5, 6, 7 years, I've never seen them make those throws. That go-ahead score to Terry McLaurin was an absolute missile. It was pinpoint. It was like we were bombing another country. I don't know, man. I'm not one to ever get high on the Washington Commanders, especially because they're on the road. But there is something about Kyler Murray versus Jaden Daniels that's going to have him up for this game, I think. And if we can just start getting other guys involved, old man Zach Ertz is still there. McLaurin is still good. If we can just get anyone else to do anything, you know what I mean? Brian Robinson has been really, really good. I think if the Cardinals win this game, they're only going to win it by 3 points. I really think that. And I think Jaden Daniels is going to put on a show. I think Kyler Murray is going to put on a show. This is going to be the battle of the two quarterbacks who throw and run this week. And it's a wonderful thing to behold. And it's indoors. Take the over. Whatever the over is in this game, guys, just take the over. I mean, Harrison's going to eat. No Trey McBride, guys. No Trey McBride. Huge. I think the Commanders cover this. You know what? It wouldn't shock me if the Commanders won this game. Guys, the Bengals are a decent team. They're just poorly coached. They're undisciplined. If there was any discipline to the Bengals, they would be 3-0. This is a fact. So you cannot tell me that that is not a signature statement win for them. And it was on the road. I think they can do it again here. Like you said, Cliff Kingsbury is a great OC. He's just not a good HC. And this is a revenge game. Give me those 3.5 points, man. I'm ready to rock and roll. Jaden Daniels to the moon.
He's been great. Let's jump over to a really tough game to call. Plain and simple, I guess, against the spread. You have the 49ers and Patriots. You have a 49ers team that has not looked good. And they're minus 10-point favorites against an awful, terrible Patriots team. I'm glad. I was sweating a little bit after week 1 on this Patriots squad. I think they ran out of gas really, really quickly. You get a little bit of juice in the first week because your head coach is new. You want to get him a win. I think they were at home, too. And now they've looked terrible. And now they're plus 10. It's so tempting, right? You just want to take the Patriots. There's no way. The 49ers have been playing so bad. You know, they had that. I mean, they just really gave up that game against the Rams. Kind of unbelievable. Really good game last week, but
horrendous.
Such an awful loss for the 49ers.
Horrendous.
But George Kittle looks like he's good to go. I think that's going to be huge in this game. There's all these lines that just make you nervous. The 7.5 against, the Jets over the Broncos, the 3.5, the Cardinals. I'm just going to not be afraid of points this week, and I'm going to go with what I feel is going to happen. The Patriots are garbage. This is a game I think so many people are going to be on the Patriots. They're going to want that number. They're going to see it. They're going to say the 49ers have not been good this year. And then I feel like the 49ers at home are going to ball out, and they're just going to blow out a terrible Patriots team. They have to have last week's game on their mind. I mean, you just can't lose games like that if you're trying to go back to a Super Bowl. They're going to be so angry. They're playing in San Francisco. This is a game I think they win by 17 points. I don't think this is a close game. I think everyone is going to just try to get as many of those points as possible, and it's just not going to be enough.
Yeah, there's a black cloud over San Francisco, and there has been all year. Let's be honest. I mean, let's start with Brandon Ayuk, who's been Casper the Friendly Ghost. Holes out, and you pay him. Then you pay a 36-year-old Trent Williams who got tossed around in the Super Bowl. I think those are 2 mistakes, but they had to do what they had to do because this is kind of like their last stand. This is like the Jordan's last dance. If this team doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, you're going to see household changes next year. They're all older. Debo, Kittle, they're all older. Now, Debo and Kittle will play this week. They're going to be back. That is huge. Purdy was a little gimpy with the back. He'll be back. Coming off the most horrendous loss I have seen since the Super Bowl, they cannot lose this game at home to the Patriots, okay? I'm not going to be scared to lay this 10 either. The only thing the Patriots have going for them here is that the run defense for the San Francisco 49ers is not good. And so if they ever get Ramondre Stevenson going here, they might be able to keep it close for a while. But Jordan Mason is still good. I don't know. If the San Francisco 49ers cannot blow this team out, in their own building. To me, their days of thinking about going back to the Super Bowl pretty much over. They're pretty much over. I mean, Shanahan, you're a great coach. You've got a good defense. Bosa is supposed to do what he does. I mean, they have the best. You got the best linebacker in all of football. I mean, get it together, guys. And this, to me, this has to be the Brandon Ayuk week. This has to be. I'm talking like 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, Brandon Ayuk. There's no excuses to have lost to the Rams at all, minus their 2 studs. That's absolutely egregious. Have some pride. This is a horrendous team flying 3,000 miles across the country. There's no reason this game should not be a 17-point victory. I'm not scared. Lay the 10. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Let's jump over to a game that I feel like I'm going to have very short words to say on. It's the Chargers-Chiefs game. Justin Herbert will be on IR within the next 2 weeks. They're stringing him along. I don't know why. I think their season's going to derail very quickly. I'd never liked their 9.5 win total in the first place. And now when he goes down, their season is over. Now, they've gotten a lot more out of certain players than I thought. And I'm happy about it because you and I were very high in Quentin Johnson coming out of college. Like, that was one of our, I not like our top 3 prospects or anything. I think we had him like at 10. Yeah.
I wanted the Chiefs to draft him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually showing up a little bit this year. He's had some really nice plays. So he is living up a little bit more to what people thought he was. And that's good to see, I guess, for my ego. For my draft stock, I can say that he actually was pretty good. But I think that's as far as it goes. They had nothing going against the Steelers. Now, I know the Steelers have the best defense in the NFL, but the Chiefs aren't that far off, let's be honest. And Justin Herbert, he's just one hit away, right? He's just one bad tackle away from he's going to be on the shelf for the rest of the year. Yeah. And you're seeing this pattern out of him. It's not looking good for the guy. It's just every year it seems to get a little bit worse for him. He's limping around this week, limped around last week, got taken out of the game for a little bit against the Steelers. I mean, what are they really doing here? I know they want to potentially, share a 3-1 spot with the Chiefs at the top of the AFC West. I get what's at stake here, but I just think you have to think much more about the long-term implications. You're at some point wanting to make a run with Justin Herbert to go to the Super Bowl, which is not happening this year. Not in the best case scenario. They don't
or
have
next year.
Yeah. So you're going to try to take a early AFC West division tie. I mean, what is that even really worth when it comes down to the end of the 17-game season? This is a 7-point spread for the Chiefs. I just don't see. I know it's so tough, right? Because it's a division rivalry. Those games are in the AFC West. Those games are always close. Those teams always find a way to make it close, no matter how bad their record is or how bad they are as a team. That's just what the AFC West is. I just don't see it out of the Chargers. I really see that Justin Herbert doesn't play this full game. And when he doesn't, the Chiefs just start scoring a gazillion points. So again, it is a touchdown spread. I think there's a potential for a push here. It's right on top of it. I'll take the Chiefs. I just don't like the Chargers, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Kansas City, and not because I'm a fan. I'm just taking them because there's just too much dissension and negativity surrounding this Charger team, which, I kind of told you guys is completely fraudulent. I mean, if Antonio Pierce is not a kitten, this team would be on their way to being 1-3. I mean, the only team they really beat is the Carolina Panthers, led by Bryce Young, which is nothing but a glorified practice squad team when he was under center. Okay, so you guys who have all been gassed by the Chargers, it's about to come down to earth. Number one, Justin Herbert should not have played last week. He should not have played last week. That's number one. Okay, that's just horrible management. Your franchise quarterback's got a high ankle sprain. Not a low one, not a low-grade one, a high ankle sprain. This is the guy that you have mortgaged your future for. Why are you trotting him out there on the road versus a defense like the Pittsburgh Steelers is beyond me. Now, your bye week is next week, and he's still hurt. I don't care if he's practicing. One hit, like Spencer said, and it's IR. High ankle sprains last a while. So this is, to me, just poor coaching. Their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, he is out. He got hurt. You just drafted Joe Alt. He is out. The guy who put Max Crosby in a box. So now you're without your top 2 tackles. Joey Bosa, your best defender, he is out. Derwin James, suspended for headhunting, he is out. Guys, how is this only a 7-point spread? The odds makers in Vegas want you to think a couple things, and Spencer alluded to a few of them. One, this is an AFC West matchup. It's going to be close. They always are, right? Why would you take the Chiefs and the 7 points? The Chiefs haven't blown anybody out. How many games? A dozen? The Chiefs play every game to the whistle. Why would you not take the Chargers and the points? Guys, I'm here to tell you this is where the Chiefs get right. Travis Kelce absolutely eviscerates the Chargers. Go look at the numbers. His numbers versus the Chargers are better than any other team he ever plays. And that's with Derwin James. Now James is out. That secondary is still good. I know Asante Samuel's still good, but they're not going to be able to hold on. They're just not. They're going to have to figure out who they're going to double. It's either going to be Rice or Kelce. You cannot be on both of them. And if they ever get Worthy going, and now you have Kareem Hunt back in the fold, who I think has still got a lot to prove and a lot left in the tank, this should be a resounding Chiefs W. The defense is going to go after that banged-up makeshift line. Whoever is back there is taking at least 3 sacks. Put money on that, and this is a 31-13 final. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a homer. I'm saying this because I got the balls to lay the 7. If I wasn't a Chief fan, I'd be saying the same thing. This is the walking wounded in LA right now, and they're going to go into their bye week like it is a hospital, basically. Take the Chiefs with confidence.
Let's jump over to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're at home against the Cleveland Browns. A letdown, obviously, last week for the Raiders at home, first home game. Well, let me say this. And there's no way to, it was a bad loss. There's no doubt about it. But this is how I view the game. And you could see it in the way that the Panthers played. This is a team that for over a year, everyone has berated, say they're all trash. Everybody on the Panthers is trash. It's all, it's not Bryce Young's fault, right? That's all they've heard for all this time while the kid has been playing. Meanwhile, he's been the worst quarterback in the league, plain and simple. That was their Super Bowl last week. A chance for everybody who is on the Carolina Panthers to say, hey, look, maybe Bryce Young does suck. Maybe we are good, maybe we're not the worst team in the league. Maybe we are sick of hearing all this BS about us. This kid has been bad, and he's lost us football games. And then now they all have a chance to prove that. Chuba Hubbard had a chance to prove, hey, I'm still a good running back. Deontay Johnson, hey, they traded for me for a reason. All of those things. And a couple of things for the Raiders, too. Davante Adams was terrible last week. I'm sorry. There were 2 15, 20-yard plays that he simply dropped. The narrative changes. The difference between a 15-yard first down and a punt, that's obviously an opportunity for the Carolina Panthers to score more points. They were constantly on them back on the field. And again, the Raiders were going on scoring drives at those points, and Davante Adams just wasn't there, man. He's out this week. Maybe it's because of broken hands, because he couldn't catch anything. He's had multiple drops this season that have been awful, terrible. I'm sick of this mentality of, we got to free Davante Adams. How about he plays a good game? I know he had a few amazing catches in that Ravens game. Outside of that, he hasn't been that good this year, and it's an annoying narrative. I almost want him to be traded at this point. I'm so sick of the conversation surrounding it. It's like, oh man, the Raiders are terrible, and he hasn't done anything around. They haven't done anything around him. It's like, why don't you look in the mirror, buddy? For at least a second, or Raiders fans to look at the mirror in a second, treating this guy like he's Jerry Rice. I know he's a Hall of Famer, but man, you just haven't seen it from him this year. Gardner Minshew had another bad interception, but again, I think there were key pivotal points in that game where his players let him down. And now they're at home. No Max Crosby, no Davante Adams. Is this not the game where the Raiders just have the best game of the season? It's just such Raiders. You have a big letdown against the Panthers. Everyone's going to be super down on you. 2 of your best players are out in the game. And I think the Raiders just go out and probably play as good as they possibly can. It's going to be tough, man. And you should take the Browns in this game. But again, it just feels like this is what the Raiders do. They're going to win this game. They're going to win 8 games again this season. You're going to look back at the Panthers game. You're going to look back at the Chargers game and say, oh, look at that. They should have won those games. I would have put them to 10 wins. This is the story of the Raiders since I was a teenager. The Carson Palmer years, the Jason Campbell years, the 8-8 Raiders, 8-8 Raiders. You lose to a terrible Jaguars team. Like, I'm talking way back in the day. I mean, this is what they do. And they're going to have the 15th pick in the draft again this year. We're going to say, oh, well, they're going to make a couple moves that try to get them over to the 10 wins. They have more terrible losses. It sucks. I wish they would fully commit to something at this point, but they won't, man. That's what the Raiders do. That's what they do. But I'm going to take the Raiders here because, again, I just think, first of all, I think the Browns are terrible. And I just think this is a game that the Raiders just always find a way to make it happen and give it Raiders fans hope again. And then the cycle continues.
Raiders are the most bipolar team in the National Football League, and they have been for decades. I'm not surprised they lost last week. All Carolina needed was competent leadership at the helm, and Andy Dalton gives you that. He's a veteran, and you guys got picked apart. You guys got exposed for not even being good. And no one thought you were good, but, you know. Ravens win gets a lot of people galvanized, and I understand why. I mean, we live here. We get how Raider fans act. You guys are the most delusional fan base in all of professional sports. That being said, I think Antonio Pierce is over his head. I really do. If I'm going to Iraq, I want Antonio Pierce. If I'm going to win a playoff game, I want any other coach because he's not an X's and O's guy. And guys were making business decisions all over the field. Jack Johnson should be benched. It was Matador defense. It was pathetic. And you can bet your ass Davante Adams is getting traded this year. Write that down. Timestamp this. 9:01 Vegas time. Okay? It is September 28th. Davante Adams is gone because he's not playing well. The only shining star you guys have right now, thank God it happened, is you guys got Brock Bowers out of this. And he's going to eat. And it would not surprise me if the Raiders do play well and win this game. But without Max Crosby and Davante Adams, this is a tough ask with 2 backup quarterbacks and a head coach that is way out of his league. I know the Browns are bad, but the Browns have a very good defense. And you cannot tell me that Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, and Zamir White, who has done absolutely nothing, are going to go out and win this game. I am going to take the Browns minus the 2.5 simply because it's 2.5. If it was 3, I'd take the Raiders. But a field goal at the end wins it, and I think Deshaun Watson, as bad as he is, they'll have no problems moving the ball. They won't because your disruptor is now out. To me, this is such a gimme, but this is what the Raiders do. The Raiders will win this game 34-7, and I'll have egg all over my face next Sunday.
Yeah, it's terrible. All right, let's keep this afternoon slate going. It is the Saints and Falcons. This is a good one. Yeah, it was literally one of the funniest moments I've ever had in an NFL season. I was watching the games with my buddy, and Derek Carr is down a field goal. All they need to do is have him get into field goal range. You know what's going to happen. It's right there. You didn't even have to watch. You could have turned the TV off, and you knew what the result
writes
of
itself.
This is the definition of this
Derek
guy's
Carr.
career.
Derek Mid Carr. That's his middle name. Mid.
That interception was just set in stone. I wish I could have bet my life savings on a game-ending interception from the guy. It's just his Achilles heel, man. When you need him to go down the field at the most important times of his career, it's just an interception or a fumble or something terrible. You know what I mean? They had that game, let it slip, and it's on Derek Carr's head. I'm sorry. We called that game, though. We knew that from the start, that this whole scoring a gazillion points and stuff, it's not going to last forever.
It's fool's gold. It's fool's gold, guys.
And now they play the Falcons. The Falcons need this game so badly. This is going to be a really close one, and I think the line reflects that. It is
3.
It's 3. That sounds about right. So I tend to think that the Falcons continue their journey of figuring it out. And I think the Saints are a team that they can do that. This is a division rivalry. 3 points is totally correct. And it is a tough game to call. It could go either way. That you have a Saints who are a much more established team. They're mid, but they're more established versus a rising Falcons team. But this is a signature game. I think that Kirk Cousins finds a way to do it. And I think you see a continual descent for Derek Carr and the Saints. A couple bad interceptions. He's starting to fall apart a little bit. Matthew Judon may have a really good game. Those are I can just picture it in my mind. It feels like you can just write out the Saints season. Like you can just look on their schedule and you can just call the game exactly how it's going to go. And this feels like one of those games where it's going to be close for a while, and then Derek Carr throws a bad interception or he gets a strip sack fumble. You know what I mean? And then suddenly the Falcons are up by a touchdown, and then the clock hits 0. Or Derek Carr has a chance. They're down a touchdown, and he needs to go down the field with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, and he just doesn't make it happen. It just kind of seems how the game is going to go. So I like the Falcons in this one. I like the 3 points. It's another game that I feel could be a push, but at the same time, if I'm in this position for a push, I'd rather lean towards the Falcons than the Saints.
I agree. I like the Falcons a lot. I think the Falcons gave the Kansas City Chiefs the game last week. Kansas City could easily be 0-3. They gave the game away. Poor coaching gave the game away. Horrendous officiating caused a lot of back and forth, the game could have gone either way, but Raheem Morris made a couple really bad decisions. 4th and inches. What are you running a stretch run for? Pound that ball. You get that, man, you're going to win the game. They gave the game away, and now they got back-to-back home games. In comes Derek Carr. He's the most predictable, worst red zone quarterback I have ever seen in my life. Guys, I told you, don't get gassed off what the Saints did the first 2 weeks, man. This team is not good. They're limping in here. Alvin Kamara misses a couple practices this week. Olave comes up gimpy yesterday. He is a GTD. He may not even give it a go. So at that point now it's Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Johnson, and Taysom Hill. You're relying on those guys? Dude, Atlanta played very well. Justin Simmons on one side, A.J. Terrell on the other side. They're going to fully take away those wide receivers, and they're going to force Alvin Kamara and his 5 touchdown explosion game to try to replicate that. It ain't going to happen, man. Drake London is ascending. Darnell Mooney is ascending. They need to get Kyle Pitts more involved, and they just need to protect Kirk Cousins better. They just need to. The pass rush in New Orleans, to me, is almost non-existent. Who is their guy? Is Cam Jordan still any good? I'm not sold on anything that the Saints are putting down, and they're injured, and they're on the road. I'd feel a lot better about it if it was 2.5, but it's 3. But like I said, I'm not scared to lay points, especially when you're coming off a bad home loss. The Falcons need this game more than the Saints need it. They brought Kirk Cousins in here. They brought Matthew Judon in here. They brought Justin Simmons in here to go for it. They cannot lose this game. And I think if they win the game, it'll be at least by a touchdown. Take the Falcons with confidence. The Saints are overrated.
All right, let's go to the Panthers-Bengals game. I really want to take the Panthers here, but what's his name? Sacrificed his entire season for that touchdown. And also you have Deontay Johnson on the injury list. He's questionable. Those are 2 very bad things for them. If they came in with the same squad as they did last week, I would be all over the plus 4.5 here for the Panthers, but I think they're too injured. I was talking about Adam Thielen. Finally popped in my mind there. He sacrificed his entire season for that touchdown.
Now he's on IR.
Yeah, I think he's done for the season.
He might be.
And with the limping Deontay Johnson, they needed every ounce of everything they got out of every player against the Raiders. Those guys were standing on their head. Andy Dalton had some of the greatest throws I think he's ever made in his career. Literally I've ever seen, splitting 2 defenders, a perfect pass. It was nuts, man. I literally think that was one of the greatest games he's ever played. He had some amazing throws. But now those guys who made those amazing plays for him last week are pretty much not going to be there. You have a Bengals team whose season's over if they lose this game. I think it's borderline over already, but obviously in their minds, they know that it's truly over if they lose this one. I'm not afraid of the 4.5 here. I'm not. It's not fool's gold, like I said. The Panthers, I think they're going to be pretty competitive when Andy Dalton plays and all their guys are around. At the very least, when Deontay Johnson is healthy, I think that helps them big time, but that's not what they're getting this week. And they are at home, but give me the Bengals. Like they have to have this. This is the most desperate. This is the most desperate football team in the entire National Football League. And when you do that, you can't not cover a 4.5 spread unless they lose, man. And then that's it. I think they start selling. Like I feel like it definitely people may start getting fired. I could see a midseason firing. You trade T. Higgins. Like it could be like that disastrous for them. But I think they know that. I think they know that if they lose, that's what's going to happen. And I think that puts a fire underneath them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's what needs to happen if we're being honest. I mean, let's just step away from the game very quickly and talk about the Bengals because this to me is a team that could be 3-0 if they had any discipline at all. If Jamar Chase just calms down, they beat the Chiefs. How do you lose to the Bengals in your building? And last week they gave away a game that they were, able to win in my mind. You can't beat the Commanders at home on Monday night. I mean, come on. Zach Taylor's done a horrible job. He's done a horrible job. And their players, they all want to jump ship. T. Higgins has wanted out for over a season. Hendrickson came out and right before preseason. He wants to be traded. They don't want to be there. Okay? They are the most overrated team in the National Football League. They are talking about themselves as the team to beat when they haven't done anything since they went to the Super Bowl and lost. Now, Joe Burrow's playing good, but I need you to be a leader, bro. You're supposed to go in that locker room and you're supposed to tell these guys, shut the hell up. There's no talking. We haven't won anything. The loudest person in the room is the weakest person, and that's who the Bengals are. And I don't care how desperate they are here. Okay? I really don't care. 4.5 points to anyone when you're 0-3 is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This game should be a pick'em. Carolina fans are galvanized now because they got a humongous win 3,000 miles away from home versus a team in their home opener who was healthy and ready to go. Deontay Johnson is good. I know they lose Thielen, but he was a dinosaur anyway. Here comes Xavier Legette. Chuba Hubbard's still good. And now they know that Jonathan Brooks is laying in the cut. He's coming, guys. It's coming together, man. Bryce Young was the de facto wrong pick. Trade the guy. Get defense and then take a shot at it again. Get as many picks as you can early on and then take a shot at it. Bryce Young is a midget playing in a grown man's league. He's not good. Anyone fielding calls for Bryce Young, you should be seriously listening to them because I know Andy Dalton at 36 ain't the answer, but he's going to win a couple games here, and it wouldn't shock me if he won this one. Now, I do think the desperate Bengals are going to win this game, but I don't think they're going to win it to the tune of over 4.5. Home dogs pay dividends. They're flying home. Fans will be in the stands now because they actually won a game. It was a first road win in, 10 years or something? Stop. The Bengals are fool's gold, man. And until I see Jamar Chase have a 3-touchdown game, until I see Joe Burrow have a 350-yard passing game, 2-3 touchdowns, until I see T. Higgins do absolute anything that is deserving of the long-term contract that he's asking for, I'm going to continue to bet against them because they haven't proven me wrong yet. They remind me of the last year's Eagles. Weeks 10 to 16, where I just kept saying, bet against the Eagles, and I made a fortune. I'm going here again with them. Give me those 4.5 points and go to Sizzler.
All right, let's jump over to the biggest bait game of the week, in my opinion. The Bears are at home against the Rams. The Bears are favored by 3. This is bait. They're just saying, hey.
Bears should be favored versus anyone.
How can they? I think I'm going to take it, though. How can you not take the bait here?
Well, I'll tell you why, but I'll let you spit first.
Rams have a signature win against the 49ers last week. The Bears look terrible. I mean, this should be -3 for the Rams, you would think. Now, I know the Rams are just so gutted, and I guess that's really where this line comes from. They're saying, hey, look, they had a great game against the 49ers, but the reality of the situation is you got a Rams team that is missing like all of their best players. With that being said, I need to see Caleb Williams play like a professional, like the first overall pick before I pick them for anything. I know they're at home and everyone's going to be pumped up. And it's just like, yeah, given the circumstances, given the rosters, the Bears should do this, that, and the other. But the Bears haven't done this, that, and the other one time this whole year. They were given a win by the time. I go over this every week because I really think it was one of the worst performances.
The Bears should
be winless in every conceivable way. If Will Levis didn't quite literally hand the ball off to the other team to let them win that game, it's easy peasy. They're 0-3, and they haven't looked good at any one moment. Now their defense has looked great, that's for sure. The Bears' defense is legit, but you're playing against one of the greatest offensive minds to ever touch the head coaching headset, and I think that they find a way to make it happen just enough. This is like a 16-13 type of win for the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams here. Give me the bait. I will take it, Vegas. I will take the bait in this game.
I'm taking the Rams too. Are you kidding me? I watched the entire fourth quarter of that Niner meltdown, and honestly, it was more about what the Rams did than what the Niners didn't do. They went and they took it. And outside of Andy Reid and Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan, the most creative play caller and probably the best OC and HC in my mind is Sean McVay. He's got hardware for a reason, and he is next man up. They're doing more with less, and Kyron Williams is fantastic. He can do everything. All they need to do is just move the ball slowly. Now, the Bears defense, yes, it is very, very good. Okay? If anything, the play here, guys, is the under. It's the under because the Rams defense is not as bad as you think it is, man. They got rid of Aaron Donald. He retired for sure, but they signed Verse. They signed Fisk. They have been very good as rookies, and these guys are playing a lot of snaps, man. There has not been a point in this season where I say the Bears have looked good at all. At all. Not a point. And if Will Levis didn't have rocks in his head, they would have lost opening day. Let's just keep it a buck. And now you're going to give me 3 points like you're going to automatically turn on the switch? Caleb Williams has not looked good at all. I'm sorry. I know he threw 1 million passes last week because they had to, guys. Because they had to. That was the game script. And they still looked horrendous. And they lost. I'm not sold on anything the Bears are doing, man. At this point, Bears fans, to me, are delusional if they think this team is making the playoffs. They can't protect their star player. Put that money into your line. Defense wins championships, but not if you can't protect your quarterback. And he hasn't looked good at all, man. I'm sorry. So they get Keenan Allen back this week off the heel injury. Supposedly he's going to play. This should help a lot. But how much is it going to help, guys? To the tune of -3? I mean, the Bears being favored anywhere right now is an absolute joke to me. It's a joke. And I think they want you to believe that, well, they're home. He's getting better each week. Maybe they'll put Komet in and they'll help Chip. This is what they want you to think. Dude, Matthew Stafford is a pro's pro. He's a pro's pro. I think they could win the game outright personally. But I'll take the 3 points. Rams +3 is the play.
Let's go to the Packers-Vikings. Now, I didn't take the Vikings last week, but I said, hey, if they win this game, then a whole different conversation needs to happen. Here it is, man. We're having that new conversation. Look at Sam Darnold, man. This guy is... Okay, let's do a retrospective. The Jets were, and even still are, a quarterback graveyard. I was actually thinking back to this. Who was the best wide receiver that Sam Darnold got to play with in New York? Alan Lazard? Is that the answer to that question? I mean, they did nothing for this guy. There was a reason he was highly touted coming out of college. It wasn't at the time of the draft. No one said this is a stretch for the Jets. Whoa, what are they? It wasn't like a Daniel Jones level pick where you're like, whoa, okay, they're just taking this guy.
And then he had DJ Moore and looked good for the first 4 or 5 games before he got hurt. And then Carolina got rid of him. And then he went to San Francisco and was a backup, so he didn't get his shot there. You now seeing him get his shot.
And he's taking it, and he's looking really,
really good. He's an MVP candidate.
That's crazy, but it is. You can't deny that. He's
winning games. He's not losing games. He is going and getting it.
And this is another huge test for them, simply because the Packers are just that good at home. It's not a testament to how good the Packers are, I guess. I know it's a weird thing to say. It's just different out there when you play in Green Bay. And I guess I'm going to ride the wave, even though I could see a letdown week where it's like, hey, look, they're playing out of their minds. But they're +3. That's like you got to be able to break it's not a curse, but you have to be able to break that environment in Green Bay. You have to be able to push through and be like, just find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's tough to say, like, even though he's done it every week. But I guess that's the reason why you think, like, hey, look, they're due for a letdown now, right? They played out of their mind. It's time for them to finally have that game. You're like, all right, here comes the reality.
Yeah.
Not reality, but it's like, yeah, this is about what you expect. But a lot of people have been doubting them all year, and all they've done every week is just play above what people say that they're going to do, essentially. I think they can do it again. Will Levis, or not Will Levis, who they've been rolling out, the Packers, Malik Willis, he's due for a letdown game, I think, more than anyone else in this entire game.
Jordan Love's supposed to play.
That's crazy.
I know.
I still think they're kind of insane for, like,
I know.
Wait until you're almost your bye week or something. What do you just pay this guy a gazillion dollars and you're rushing him back as fast as possible. Malik Willis has proven that he is at the very least serviceable. If you go down 2-2, you get to float around 500 with Malik Willis, but you can hold off until the mid part of the season. That's an acceptable situation for me if you're a Packers fan, but they seem to just like really want Jordan Love back as soon as possible. I don't like that. I don't, but so that makes things much more difficult. But hey, let's ride the wave with the Vikings and see how far they can take it. I think they can take it pretty far. I think they have one of the best head coaches in the league. They obviously have one of the most prolific offenses in the league. If they can just score, it feels like if they can score 17 points in this game in Green Bay, that they can win it. And they've proven that they can score those points to me so far.
Yeah, this game comes down to one thing and one thing only for me, and it's Jair Alexander versus Jay Jettis. These guys have had wars over the years, and, Alexander's gotten the upper hand sometimes. Jets has gotten the upper hand sometimes. Can Sam Darnold get him the ball in a hostile environment? That's what it's going to come down to. Now, I do think that Minnesota is as good as advertised. I was dead wrong on them. I saw 6 wins on their schedule. This is a playoff team. If they continue this, they are going to get TJ Hawkinson back here soon, which is a slept-on detail that a lot of people forget. And this is the Aaron Jones revenge game. Give me those 3 points. Give me those 3 points. Okay, the Packers, they had a humongous win versus Tennessee last week. I told you Tennessee is trash. I'm not betting them anymore. The defense played very, very well. I think they're rushing Jordan Love back a bit too early, but he has practiced, so they must think he is ready. They are a different Packer team with Jordan Love. All of a sudden, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs. You got a guy who can get you the ball. Now we're talking about putting points on the board. But how good is he going to be coming off the rust? I'm a little concerned about that. I think the Vikings are better than advertised, man. Jordan Addison is going to play, and they've played well on defense. Something that a lot of people have not been willing to give them their flowers about. Kevin O'Connell is a very good head coach, and he said something that really struck me. He said, good organizations give up on good quarterbacks faster than good quarterbacks give up on good organizations. And we just alluded to that earlier when you look at the Sam Darnold timeline. Could this really be the real Sam Darnold? I mean, guys, it's not out of the realm of possibility that this is what is happening. We've seen this before, a.k.a. Baker Mayfield. So it's on the table. This could be Sam Darnold. This could be his team. And if they get this win here, none of us should be shocked. Give me Minnesota plus the 3.
All right, let's finish out the afternoon slate. This is the Sunday night game. Gosh, this is such a tough game to call because it screams the situation of, hey, look, the Ravens should win this game, right? The Bills have been playing out of their minds. The Ravens are at home. They need this game so desperately. It's time for the Bills to have their letdown game. They have this 3-0 cushion. They're not going to be as fired up about it. It's so easy to take them. It's like -2.5. All you have to do is win by a field goal at home. But I don't think the Ravens are a good football team. They have kind of proven it. They barely beat a Dallas Cowboys team last week, and they were sweating that until the very end. The Bills are a better team overall than the Ravens. I don't think just because the Ravens are desperate, that means that they just get this win. The Ravens proved last year in the most important game of the season that being home for them matters nothing at all. How about the Raiders game for them this year? What does going into Baltimore really mean? I know the fans are excited, but the Ravens don't seem to feed off of that at all. I'm not going to let a desperation game influence my opinion here. Everything points towards the Ravens, and these are the kinds of games where I'm really not afraid to go to the opposite side. The Bills, man, they just look like they're ready to go. And I don't get that vibe from the Ravens at all. The Ravens just like they're going through the motions where it feels like you're just supposed to give them these default wins because they have, for the last 2-3 years now, they've been these regular season merchants, but they don't look like they're going to do that this season in the slightest bit. The Bills may suddenly just surge even further. It would be crazy. I know that the Ravens should win this game, but something tells me that Josh Allen is going to make his MVP statement. Like, I think he's just going to start taking a big lead over the pack. And Josh Allen's just going to say, I'm the MVP. And I don't think the Ravens are that good. I could see their season. They're headed towards a 10-win season right now. This is a team that everyone thought would have 13 wins, and it's starting to track down a little bit. This is going to be a great Sunday night game. And I'm just going to go bold here. I'm going to go bold.
I'm going to go the other way. I think that everything that you said about Lamar and the Ravens is true. And I do believe that right now Josh Allen is the MVP. Nobody is playing to his level. And I think they took a page out of Kansas City's playbook by letting Stephon Diggs go and replacing him with 3 guys. And it's working. And they look unstoppable. But they look unstoppable versus teams that are garbage. This is their first real test. Go on the road versus a team that is supposed to be very, very good, who had the best season of any team last season, who now get a huge win versus what people think is a decent Cowboy team. Now we're cooking with something with a little motivation behind us, and maybe, just maybe we are going to get Derrick Henry going here. The Bills' defense worries me. They worry me, man. To me, they're not as good as they even were last year. And you're going to need a defense to win a Super Bowl. And you're going to need a defense to make statement wins. And this, to me, is kind of a trap because everyone is just so high on the Bills right now because they've looked so good. But they've looked so good versus really bad teams. The Ravens are a good team. Are they a great team? No. Are they as good as they were last year? No. But Lamar is back. He's an MVP player. This is home under the lights. This is a game he should win. I mean, the AFC is his kryptonite. He's like 25-1 versus the NFC, and he just can't get it together versus the AFC. But something tells me that the leg of Justin Tucker can kick a field goal that wins you money here. Under the lights, Sunday Night Football, I think this is where they really figure out this whole Mark Andrews issue. They're going to have to score points to win. This is what I know. You cannot just run the ball and win the game here. The Bills can put up a 25-30 burger. So you're going to have to score to win. So they're going to have to pull out all the stops. Everyone's going to have to get involved. Justice Hill, Derrick Henry, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Everybody is going to have to get involved. But I think the biggest key here is the Ravens defense is going to have to make plays. And if they can make 1 or 2 plays to slow Allen down, they're going to win this game. I don't think they can stop Josh Allen. Josh Allen's an absolute terminator. You don't stop him. You slow him down. And if you can do that, they can win this game. Look at how Kansas City plays Josh Allen. He eats. But when it's time to make the big throw, he's a ghost. That's how you beat Josh Allen. That's how you beat him. And I think they're going to do it on Sunday night. Give me the Ravens minus the 2.5.
All right, now we have our Monday night doubleheader. Very interesting.
I hate doubleheaders on Monday night.
I don't mind them because it's cool to be able to like not watch commercials the entire time, but I don't like how they stagger them. I feel like it's kind of bizarre the way that they do it. But I can't complain about football games. If there's 2 football games on, I'll watch 2 football games. You know what I mean? This is not a good one, though. This is a dumpster fire. Oh, my gosh. The Dolphins, Titans. The Dolphins don't even know who's playing quarterback for them on Monday. The Titans are patently the worst team in the league, even though they shouldn't be. They should not be. The Will Levis experiment is over. He will not be their quarterback next year, at least in my opinion. I mean, this was his chance. He has never. Most young quarterbacks don't get the chance that he got. They'll sooner give up on you before they surround you with weapons like this, and he's proven that he's just not ready. They just look worse every week. I don't know why they ever fired their head coach. One of the dumbest decisions that they've maybe ever made. And now you're playing Miami in Miami. Oh, gosh. This feels like a game where Tyreek Hill, they just find a way to do anything humanly possible to give him the ball. He's been so quiet this year, which makes sense with Skylar Thompson. But I feel like Mike McDaniels is just going to find a way to just make it happen somehow, some way. Oh, gosh, this is gross. This is not a fun game to watch. But the Miami Dolphins -2 at home. You just can't bet on the Titans. I think that's what it really comes down to.
It's -1 now.
Wow. People like the Titans.
It's just a pick 'em.
Gross. I'll still take the Miami Dolphins. It's just like by default, essentially, I guess is what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, so as you were talking, it just came over the wire that Tyler Huntley is starting for the Miami Dolphins. I was going to take the Titans here, but now that he has been named a starter, I'm going to take the Dolphins here. This guy in limited play on any team he's ever been on has put up some numbers. He can play. Tyler Huntley can play. To me, Tyler Huntley is just as good as Gardner Minshew. He can play. He when Lamar was out for an extended period of time, he looked like Lamar at points. And so, like you said, force feed Tyreek, give Achane the ball, and get out of the way. Disappointing Titans, man. They've been just as disappointing as the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those two teams, man, have been absolutely horrendous. Will Levis has been so bad, and I want him to be good, and I'm just giving up on him. I know it's early to give up on him, but, I mean, like you said, no one gets shots like this at that age, and they just have not done a thing. L'Jarius Sneed has done absolutely nothing. I mean, he got his money. Good for him. You know, Tony Pollard's kind of balling. Calvin Ridley is off and on. They're just, you know what the Titans are? They are like a lukewarm shower when you really need a hot shower. That's what they are. You know what I mean? That's just what they're off and on. And I can't trust them anywhere, so I'm taking the Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins with confidence. If I win any kind of money here during Sunday slates, I'm putting a lot of money on the Miami Dolphins. I know they're usually not good unless the sun is out, but they're home under the lights. They need something to get excited about, and I think Tyler Huntley could be the spark that they're looking for to just keep them in it until they figure out what to do with Tua's Play-Doh brains.
All right, last game. This is a good one. This is a really good one. And yeah, the Lions have to be sweating a little bit. I'm not crazy, but, you know, are they ready to win these huge games again? Like games that just last year, they were just like default, just running teams over, I feel. I haven't gotten that same vibe from them. And the Seahawks are about as good as I thought they would be. I was actually higher on the Seahawks than a lot of people.
Me too.
This is a big game for them. And I believe, yeah, this is a -3.5. Gah. They're begging you, right? Like, I think I'll do it too. I like the Seahawks team. I don't think the Lions by default are just the same team as they were last year. I get a field goal, so I feel good about that. Like, this is going to be a close game. The Seahawks are going to push the Lions in this game. Don't just think the Lions are the Lions and, you know, like last year, they're going to go straight to the Super Bowl. So far, they haven't looked like that yet. I'm taking the Seahawks, man. I think they're going to score some points. And, hey, let's see you score some points, Lions. They have not just been rolling it up this year.
The Lions have not looked like the Lions of last year, and I'm starting to wonder if my NFC Championship game prediction is going to falter because I have not been impressed with anything they have done. I know they beat a good Cardinals team last week. They did okay, but Goff has been very pedestrian. If anything happens to the Sun God, this team is in big trouble. Sam Laporte has been on a milk box, and Jahmyr Gibbs has not been who I thought he was. I mean, they just have not been good. They've been okay. And if you go back and look at Father Time, you'll realize that the Seattle Seahawks went into Detroit, I think last year or the year before, and they won the game outright. I think they could do it again, man. I love what they're doing with Geno Smith. I'm telling you, Ryan Grubbs coming over from Washington and becoming the new OC for this team has worked wonders. DK Metcalf to the moon. JSN gets a little bit better every single week. They still have Tyler Lockett, who preserves his career by just making catches and going down. So you're good on the wide receiver side of the ball. If you can just get Noah Fant in space, little bits there, little bit here. Their defense has been really, really good, and they come to play in big games, man. Woolen, Witherspoon, these boys are dogs. Dogs. They absolutely took apart in one of my best bets of the year, the Miami Dolphins at the 12th man. And I think they can be a 4-0 team here. I'm not just saying that they're going to cover the 3.5. I think they can win the game. I think they can win the game outright. Kenneth Walker's coming back. I don't know how good he'll be. But, guys, let me tell you something. Zach Charbonnet is an absolute unit. He is a unit. You miss nothing from your running game if KW3 is not there. Charbonnet is a unit. When you look at that boy, you look at him and you're like, that guy's a football running back. He can do it all. And their coach has done a very good job. If they just don't turn the ball over, I think they can win this game. And you're going to give me 3 points? If Detroit wins this game the way they've been playing right now, they're not going to win it by more than 3, guys. Seattle, to me, is an absolute lock. One of my best bets. And like I said, man, if I win any money Sunday, I'm rolling big money. Dude, Miami, Seattle, 2-team teaser on Monday night. You could take Tuesday off.
All right. So that's the slate. I'll go over my best bet of the week. Or I should say my teaser card of the week. Now, I've had a lot of success on my best bets, but my teasers, man, one of these games is always a big letdown for me. But I will go over it here. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers +4 at the time and what I got it, I should say. I know these lines move, but I'll say this is what I had. I have the Carolina Panthers +10.5. We talked about it. I feel different about the 4.5, but if I can get it up to 10.5, man, with Carolina Panthers, I don't think the Bengals have earned the right to say that they're 10 points better than any team in the National Football League. And then I have the Kansas City Chiefs -1.5. That feels like almost a gimme to me. I don't even think Justin Herbert is going to play the entire game. I guess I'll go back to my best bet. I haven't officially stated it, but yeah, I haven't seen any game that has convinced me more than the Pittsburgh Steelers -2 against the Colts. This is a Colts team that is just, I should say not even a Colts team. This is an Anthony Richardson-led team that has done nothing. And he has thrown lots of interceptions, and he is due to throw a lot more.
I think so, too. I think it's going to be a good week. That's the slate, you guys. My parting shots, I don't really have much to say. Just, guys, kind of keep everything in context. Spencer and I, we're not some kind of gambling agency. You know what I mean? We're not taking money, so you guys are getting picks from us. None of that. We're two guys that just love talking about football. It keeps us close. It keeps us in touch, and so we just film it. We video it. If you feel the need to come on here and slam us and do this and do that, guys, we're not interested in that. Okay? Like, if you think you could do better than us, dude, start your own show, or hit us up. We'll have you on the show so you can show how amazing you are. You know what I mean? But like if you have a problem with gambling or anything like that, gamblersanonymous.org, it's a serious thing, man. I've seen people lose everything behind this. We do this for fun. And every now and then I feel like I have to state that for the general population who loves the NFL because I don't know what you're expecting from us, but it is not us making you trillions of dollars. The Wiz's best bet is like a $20 best bet. You're looking at a teacher, and I'm a guy who works in a restaurant. We're not ballers, guys. All right. So I felt like my parting shot that needed to be said. All right. Anything else you want to chime in, Spence?
Should be a good week of football. I do want to make an appeal to the fantasy football gods. If you could stop like getting my entire team on the IR, it'd be great. Yeah. I'd like to actually play. I'm running out of players here. All right, whoever's doing this voodoo magic against me, man, I'm running out of players. So please give me a break this week.
Never in my life have I seen so many injuries before the bye weeks have started. It's been brutal. World of Matches bringing the heat every Saturday morning is the show. We'll get it out this afternoon and hope you guys enjoy. It's a little longer today, but we got a lot to say, so it's our show. We're going to do what we want to do. Don't like it, don't watch. We'll see you guys next week. Take it easy. Peace.
See ya.